our next match is going to be Peps versus Sheer Cold, right?
Yep.
And I just heard that Sheer Cold didn't have a good time.
It's always an interesting match, like two teams that just got beat down. I mean, frankly, I think they probably took an equal drubbing.
Yeah.
And I mean, a drubbing is really the only term for it, honestly. But who can come back is the question, right?
Yeah.
Like, yes, you got destroyed. Yes, those teams are a lot better than you, but you still have a chance, right? You're fighting an elimination match right now, so there's no time to be moping or to be sad or really to go back to the drawing board. It's all about who can just reassert themselves with confidence into the next match and play their best after such a tough beatdown. I mean, whether your skill is on a level is one question, right? But do you have the mentality for that? Going to be interesting. You know, you've got to think maybe some of these Peps players with experience in the Overwatch League, you know, they've taken tough L's before. Maybe they can pick themselves back up a little quicker, but Sheer Cold, no slouches either.
Do you have your own like know-hows? I mean, you guys are both ex-pro players as well, so you know, you guys. I'm pretty sure you guys had these like, you know, situations where you guys lost and you have to go back up and play again. Do you guys have your own ways to like hype yourselves back up?
I think music does it for a lot of people. You know, different music.
Having your like pre-match routine.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think for
taking
me,
a walk often helps. Just taking a walk. Go touch some grass. if you're boomed from ranked, go touch some grass. So seriously, it helps. Take a walk. Just 5 minutes. Just move your legs.
Get out of the desk. Just change up environment. I think honestly, individually, it doesn't bother me too much. You take an L and it's like, you know what? Like, unlucky we took that L, but we have to, like, there's no time to be worried. But as far as the team goes, you need to, like, it's about regaining the team's confidence. It's about letting go of that last match, like just putting it out of your mind. Because honestly, if you get clapped like that, you kind of have to accept that the other team's just on a different level from you. You have to look at this new team and say, you know what, we can do that same thing to this other opponent, right? They're much weaker. They also got beat down, right? For me, it's less about. It's not about. Don't worry so much about yourself, right? Like, think about what we're gonna do to this next opponent. We are gonna be the dominant team in this next match. We're not gonna be on the receiving end anymore.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the best thing you can do is focus on the future. Think about how you're gonna gap your opponent. Maybe make fun of your opponent. Honestly, like talk a little smack, get the team hyped up. Like that's what you need to do after taking a beating like this. You gotta do something to crack some jokes about it. Like you gotta break the tension here for both of these teams.
All right. I mean, yeah, this is going to be Sheer Cold versus Team Peps. I think I just heard that our casters are ready. Rosters are ready. I'm sorry. It's first day. Sorry, guys. Let's take a look at the rosters. Starting off with Sheer Cold. Anything that you guys have to say about this lineup?
One player that stands out here that's starting to make a bit of a name for himself in the scene is Will. From Denmark, of course, and also is one of those trash talkers. I remember vividly, I was watching one of the qualifier matches, and he typed to the enemy player, just like, "Little bro thinks he's me," when they just dominated someone on Suravasa. So I like Will, bit of a trash talker, gets out there, going to probably play Tracer in this matchup if I had to guess. So that's someone to look out for. Look out for Will, up-and-coming player from Denmark.
All right, well, that's Will from Sheer Cold. Let's take a look at their opponents. We just took a look at them. Team Peps, Jake, what do you have to say to them?
I mean, the name value much higher here for Team Peps, but they did just get clapped. And so I think some of that name value has to come into question now. Composition-wise, it looked like they were pretty much on point, playing mostly mirrors the whole series, but just individually or team execution-wise, getting gapped on a lot of levels there. So the question is, like, how much is this name value going to count? You know, I think for a team like Sheer Cold, they've got a lot more to prove here. But I wonder, does Team Peps not have a little bit more? Is it a lot harder for them to take a loss, right? If you're Sheer Cold, you're a bunch of players who are frankly pretty unknown, like up and coming in the scene. Yeah, you lost to some like really well-known pros, but like maybe you can take that a little easier. So honestly, I'm a little worried for Team Peps as far as like it gets harder and harder to take those tough L's the more time you've been playing professionally. You can't just say, oh, you know what, we're the underdogs, it's fine, let's get back in there and give them hell.
No, I mean, Sheer Cold are the underdogs.
Exactly.
The underdogs thing is a real thing.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to watch Sheer Cold in this one.
Yeah, I'm a little worried, but at the same time, I do feel like there's just strong. We did see some good plays, at least in the series we watched. Some good plays from Peps.
Dude,
some good openings, some good aggression.
I'm not making any assumptions. You never know.
Yeah.
OWCS, Jake. Anything could happen.
I like the odds of some underdogs here.
Okay.
You know, I think Team Peps could be vulnerable. It all depends on how mentally strong they are, right? Can they just swallow that tough L?
I mean, before we move on, I know, Jake, you're a big fan of, doing guessing who's gonna take the match. You know,
Yeah, I love
drink
Preds.
right?
I love-
Jake loves
I
Preds,
love
and he was
Preds.
very
I
sad
love
that
them.
we don't have a dedicated
It's
segment
really,
for that.
It's really important.
So yeah,
that
so
we do Preds.
so Jake, yeah, I want to hear from you guys. Jake, what are your Preds for this one? Who do you think is gonna take the belt?
He's like boiling. Look at him.
All right,
Eternally, it's just.
sheer cold 3-1.
You think it's sheer cold?
Yeah.
This is why you lost last year.
Because I don't
You were at the
care.
bottom of the
YOLO.
He doesn't care, Danny. Can you hear that?
Wake up, sheeple.
I'm going Peps. Peps
What's your
3-2.
reason? Peps 3-2.
Yeah, I think it'll be
You might
competitive.
win the Preds, but you're boring as hell.
What is that boring? I'm trying to inform the audience about who is the superior team. I'm applying my analysis, my knowledge, which I know isn't much, but I'm still trying to inform the audience who is the better
All right,
team.
Preds got the name value. Sheer cold, they're the underdogs. I got them on this one. I'm believing.
Why are you trusting sheer cold for this one?
Literally no reason, because
Yeah, you gotta, come on, you have to make an educated decision here, Joe.
no, I don't.
They've been through the Swiss stage, they've been through the group stage, they qualified for the EMEA main event, they're
Yeah,
competing
they
for
both
circuit points
just
for
got
prize
absolutely
money.
body slammed by their last opponent.
Come on!
guys.
They got a chance in the, I mean, yeah. Jake,
Oh, give me something.
Yeah, that's on you, bro.
you're one of the most legendary players in Overwatch League of all
Stay
time.
mad, bro.
You gotta make an educated decision here. Oh well. Oh.
I like the underdogs. I like the underdogs after
Viewer
3-0.
Preds. It's yeah, a lot of people are going for
the
Team
best-
Peps.
Let's be honest. The name value on Team Peps is so high that like they have to be considered the favorites head to head. But I'm going off pure vibes.
Pure
That
vibes?
the underdogs could take the 3-0 better than the more established players. I don't think that really matters all that much. Honestly, the player skill is going to matter so much in this meta.
Aren't you happy that I
But-
brought this Pred thing up?
Yeah. Look how engaged he
Love
is. He gets into it. Yeah. No, but I think that's a really important part about OWCS. Because if you're just tuning into OWCS, you haven't watched the group stages, you haven't watched the Swiss format, it can be pretty easy to just default into like, yeah, I know that guy.
Right.
I saw them on Vegas Eternal or something. Just like, actually, name value doesn't hold up that much. Of course, there's like Kevster and stuff like that, right? But actually, some of these up-and-coming players, this is their first real opportunity to prove themselves, right? And so I think you'll be surprised by some of these names coming into the competition this weekend.
I mean, really quickly, Jake, you said that Sheer Cold is going to take the win, and they picked Li Jiang. Why do you think Sheer
Li
Cold...
Jiang Kings Row?
Yeah, why do you think
That's an
Sheer Cold
alpha
picked Li
pick.
Jiang?
That's an alpha
It's
draft.
an alpha.
right here. Alpha draft for Li Jiang. Hey, Ents picked Li Jiang and they won 3-0, so I think that probably means the same is going to happen here because Sugargold picked Li Jiang, so I think that means they win 3-0. That's my analysis, and I'll stand by it.
Fantastic answer. Great stuff from Mr. Jake
I feel so
Lion.
educated.
All right. I think we're done talking about this match. Let's jump right into the match. Lemon Kiwi and Nekra, take it away.
Hello, thank you.
Well, I've got to say though, I think Jake is right. I think Sheer Cold has a chance here. I want to say with more conviction though that Sheer Cold has a chance because we got a chance to actually talk to NKZ in that tank role after an interview where they had a very stressful 5-map series versus a Junkrat OTP, and like they were saying that they have a ton of versatility when it comes down to that tank role and they can play a bunch of different compositions. So I feel like they're able to kind of crack the code here on the Arista composition that maybe Team Peps wants to play.
I gotta respect Jake just being the most honest guy. Only Jake could say the things that he does on Discord. Just being brutally honest that both these teams got absolutely body slammed. I'm liking that you're gonna be the good cop here, and we're gonna give a chance to Sheer Cold because it is their last chance. And Sheer Cold, yeah, a lot of unknowns, but people that came up through the contender scene, and I don't know if I want to talk trash until I see them play though.
We gotta wait. We gotta wait a little bit and see how they fare for sure. But I mean, Jake, I don't know. What do you think? Are you with us here? Do you feel like this is better? Sheer Cold, yes.
Yeah, I mean,
Give you more
they're
conviction?
underdogs. I think it's mostly just the question of taking a 3-0 beatdown. In the end, though, facing elimination, I do feel like the experience on the players on Team Peps is gonna come in clutch. I'm just memeing because I don't like Preds.
What do you mean? What do you mean? You love Preds.
That's meme on broadcast?
Guys, I'm fired. They're telling me my ear I'm fired, but they can't get me off because we're on camera. So it's cool. It's cool. I'll stick around for just a little bit more. But no, I mean, I think all right. So honestly, the veteran experience on Peps, you would hope that puts them in a position to be like shrugging this off, knowing that they're facing elimination, right? I always felt that there's something to that. Like your back's against the wall. You have to just push those emotions or worries out of your mind and move on completely because it's all coming to this, right? Like. Yes, you got stopped 3-0. Yes, you were hoping to make an upset in that first round, but it didn't happen. And now it's fighting for your life. And honestly, you're scrapping for like a top 6. Let's get some points, you know?
Yeah. What do you guys think we'll see
I mean,
in terms
like, when it comes down to...
compositions?
Sorry.
I was going to ask about compositions.
I was
I'm
gonna
just
say,
about
like-
compositions.
Yo, I want to see some Mauga.
Yeah, like when it compositions, I don't think we're gonna see Mauga, Danny. I don't think that's gonna happen. I don't think anybody else wants to see that either.
No one liked that.
I'm not sure about that one.
I feel like Mauga is not as bad as I would have thought.
You.
After the nerfs, after the rework. Honestly, just the DPS passive change, I feel like Mauga is still like kind of okay. I mean, I think the meta, the Orisa, some of these heroes are pretty strong into him, and we might not see Mauga at all. But I get the sense that even just that 5% reduction in the DPS passive, for me, that actually has helped Mauga a ton, even though he lost all the buffs he got in this patch. It still is good for Mauga. I just think overall, Orisa, no more damage fall off. You sniping people. Orisa is a deathmatch warrior. I honestly I know people meme on like spectating to the tank sometimes, but Orisa is a DM warrior. This hero is like a DPS on steroids. Yes, it doesn't have a shield. Yes, it doesn't really tank for anybody. It's like, I kill stuff. That's why I tank. You have to look at me because I kill you.
No,
this is my type of tank.
Yeah? Yeah? Completely agree.
We love Orisa.
I like Orisa.
I'm here.
I'm
here for it. I'm here for it. Yeah. I think like when you take a look at like both Mauga and like Orisa's DPS output, I feel like you have to take account that it's tough. I think it's tough, Jem. When you look at those tanks, you're sitting across from them. We even saw it from watching their Orisa POV, how much damage output she can actually do if you hit those headshots. Like, it's nuts. You can delete people. Those squishies were getting ultra bursted.
I've been an Orisa main since she had it. You would stand behind her shield and still have a bongo, okay? Those were the glory days of Orisa. Now it takes skill to play her, and she's still fun. I've been loving, obviously, the Orisa rework in Overwatch 2 and the fact that she's back in the meta. Because at least if you're going to shoot each other at a distance, like in the Mauga meta, you can now throw a javelin. You could do a little spin. You could Terra Surge, even though it doesn't really do much. It's a lot more exciting to watch, at least in my opinion, than Mauga.
I like it. Maybe we do get a chance to see a little bit. Actually, like I think we heard correctly that Twisted Minds and Quick Esports played the Mauga in their matchup, and
cringe, honestly.
1-3-0. So maybe there's some hope yet that we still get a chance to see a little bit of the Mauga if you are into that sort of thing. But I do think that it is Orisa. I think that there's also a case to be made to play some more Doomfist if you are a more dive-oriented team. And in this case, when it comes to Sheer Cold, I expect to see some Zarya. Johnny was talking about the compositions, maybe like hoping to see a little bit more from this matchup when it comes to the versatility in the comps that we see. And I think that Sheer Cold can really offer us that. Even when it came to playing the Mauga patch in this last weekend, Sheer Cold didn't care about that. They played it like once, and that was Sky Tour coming in to play that on New Junk City. And then they still maintained their course when it came to actually playing like the Sigma, the Zarya, the Doomfist. They also play Ramacha. Like NKZ is one of the most versatile tanks that we have in EMEA.
I guess my counterpoint is I'd rather be the master of one thing than like mid at everything, or like a jack of all trades, I'll say, as a silver lining. I think there's a little bit too much experimentation from Sheer Cold to adapt to their opponents, and they squeaked by in the group stage. But hey, if you could beat a team like that are anti-meta, maybe they can pull through here with their own play style. Now it's the Sigma with the Sojourn at a distance. Will has to be careful of Hybrid getting shot up in the sky there, but these Echo grenades are really gonna hurt Ben Best. That's some good burst into them, and Naga will hopefully have the chase down on Will, but so far all of that attention has been into the shield of NKZ.
Yeah, but I mean, look at that too. Like, Will can go get a health pack, come back in feeling nice and healthy. Hyber's able to get a snipe, and now that your main tank is down, you have a way harder time actually being able to get space here.
Yeah, now it turns into the death match that Jake and Reinforce wanted after all, but Orissa's not involved this time. It's the battle of DPS, and Naga and Hybrid come out on top. And they already capped the points, so they've been benefiting from this whole time.
They have, and this is going to buy so much time for BenBest to come back. You have the Sigma, and so like the Sigma versus Orisa here is really interesting because while you have the shield to be able to help protect yourself for these great rotations that we're seeing here from Sheer Cold, the Orisa can just walk in on you. You just go T-pose in front of their face, and there's not really a whole lot that the Sigma can do about that.
At least the Sigma can take pressure really well with cycling the shield and then the Matrix, and KZ has a lot of time on the Sigma, but then as a Sigma, you're not having as much of an impact in the DPS department maybe as compared to BenBest, since Peps can just play further away and depend on Sojourn. So Exodial against Hybrid, tough matchup. We'll see if they can pull it off. First ults by Team Peps though, with the Kitsune Rush and the Overclock, forcing Sheer Cold into a corner. No kills, but hey, space created.
Space created, maybe a cap coming through. There's the Overclock from Exodial just to be able to push everybody back and confirm that point capture. So Team Peps are going to have to regroup to come back into this, but Will's dead. Will was on a flank. BenBest just killed them. That is a 5v4. You've got the advantage here. And as I say that, there goes FD God.
Yeah, the timing of your flanks on Tracer is very important. If your team is not distracting at the front, everyone's going to turn around on the Tracer flanking if there's not a coordinated pinch. And well-coordinated backhand from Naga, but good response by Strebor. 3 versus 3 on the point, still capped by Sheer Cold. Sound barrier, though, is massive for Peps to get the extra help they need to take the space and ideally push Sheer Cold off an edge of a cliff. And NKZ is just getting tossed right now, so Team Peps will take back the point.
Yeah, and that's going to bring us to last fight territory as soon as Sheer Cold do respawn. And that, again, is like the kind of the issue with the Sigma, is that you could tell it was kind of getting locked in a corner. You only have one direction for that shield to be able to protect you from. And NKZ is going to switch over to the Orisa. I think you called out something really important there, which is the damage output that this Orisa has. So maybe this will give Sheer Cold a little bit more of a fighting chance with the Orisa themselves.
Yeah, Team Peps just need to not tunnel on the Sigma shield, because then you're just never gonna break through. Gotta find these alternate angles, and Team Peps relying on that Kitsune Rush to just play front to back. NKC is dead. Peps has somehow access to Yoham, and this fight is dead. This round is dead. It's a 5 versus 3, and Sheer Cold can keep overtime burning all they want, but they're all isolated from each other. They can't really come back together to rally one final time, even when reinforcements are staggering in. So both these teams got smashed in their first match, but you love to see Team Peps bounce back morally, physically, with a great round win, 100-39.
Yeah, and you have to have that mental fortitude. As they were talking about on the desk, like Team Peps, they have a ton of veterancy on this roster, which may bode well for them to be able to shake off that loss that they just had and come back into this next match super strong. And they were able to do that for this first round. But Sheer Cold, I think we're playing that matchup disadvantage, having the Sigma, and I'd love to be able to see if that Orisa change might be able to swing the tide back into their favor. They also have a little bit of a better echo map, I think, when it comes down to being able to play on gardens, being able to play around the rooftops. But hey, it still might be tough going when you have a DPS like Hybrid that's able to lock down the skies as well as those angles.
Ooh, Tracer versus Echo. I would want to challenge Naga on the Tracer, I'm not gonna lie. We'll see how Will just try to play as invisibly as possible, because yes, as soon as you're on the ground, the Tracer is going to be faster than you. So Will has to time his flights, and Naga is going to wait for that bird to descend. Meanwhile, Sheer Cold are taking shelter in Dojo, and NKZ doesn't have armor, and that is the danger zone for Orisa. Is going to be able to regenerate that, is getting all the attention from Yoham, but is quite literally in a corner, getting kicked into by Team Peps, who can now move forward to the point to cap.
Yeah, I think it's going to be tough for this Echo to find power if you aren't able to get the setup required to have those focusing beams actually blast down a target. And take a look at this too. Like, Hybrid is again trying to find all of those angles onto the team. These rotations, they're taking quite a while because what Sheer Cold is looking for here is an opening pick, and Team Peps are the ones that are playing from that defensive position with this wall.
Ooh,
There's one
bit of
though.
a sight line for ExoDL. That's opening, but this is exactly why you don't want to play on this bridge. Of course, you got a teleport from Kiri, you got a slide from Sojourn that defies gravity, so Sheer Cold barely hold on and eventually outbrawl Team Peps to regain control.
But there's the opening pick that they need, right? If this is going to be a DPS battle, then you need ExoDL to be able to match Hybrid on the Sojourn. You also want to make sure that you are locking down those flanks. You can see Naga trying to sort of sneak around to behind the team. And that might be able to land a pulse bomb here, or just at least turn the attention of Sheer Cold away from this rotation into right room.
Ideally,
There
that's
you
not
see?
ideal, but ExoDL is turning out to be that guy for Sheer Cold,
He is
getting
him.
first blood. Will, though, trade it out now 4v4, but a lot of good ults from Sheer Cold and Team Peps. Who's going to pull the trigger first? All the weight is on Team Peps' shoulders. Kitsune Rush, first from Team Peps, and ExoDL with the overclock and the sound barrier from Team Peps. Everybody's pressing Q at once. Everybody run, but Team Peps have forced Sheer Cold back, and they're trying to regain that space as best as they can. Will is even going to duplicate, and it's so back and forth. Team Peps have just spread themselves too thin almost. And even though they used ults first, they lost the fight.
Sometimes the later beat is going to be the one that wins. Sometimes it's just the later picks, especially when you have a Sojourn that just gets ultra over health. She's also can be very difficult to take down, but ExoDL's also not missing the shots. Like, those are critical hits. Those are going to be headshots. That's going to be 190 damage to the dome if it's a fully charged railgun. It's enough to be able to delete somebody off of the map. And take a look at this too. This is going to be final fight here for Sheer Cold. If they win this, they've got this round.
And we'll go to our deciding one. Sheer Cold barely have control of the space on this point. It is all up to NKZ. Took a pretty big javelin to the knee, so he's trying to back away as much as possible. Now Sheer Cold have got it to 99%. Will on the flank. Try not to be too aggressive. He's going to get booped back. Meanwhile, Team Peps with the Kitsune Rush have, well, Naga getting chased around. Benbes is trying to support him, and Hybrid is delivering the final blows that maybe can help Team Peps get ahead in this fight. But it was really Sheer Cold that were ahead this whole time. It's at 99, and Team Peps have a lot of work ahead of them.
Yeah, I think they're doing a great job now of locking down the Echo, but what I wonder about for Sheer Cold is, like, can they overpower this sound barrier from FD God? Benbes also has the Terror Surge, so you're able to lock people down with their mobility if you can catch them without those cooldowns. But Yohem has his Kitsune Rush. What a great engagement tool here for this next fight.
Yeah, he's gonna pull the trigger on it. Wow, and ExoDL pulled the trigger literally. But Naga at least had a response, had the trade. Team Peps, sound barrier's gone. Naga's pulse bomb doesn't get the pick, but maybe forces out Will on the duplicate, who goes to the Tracer, hoping to build up that pulse bomb quickly. But I think the real difference maker is the sound barrier from Strabor later on in this fight, as he pointed out, is such a boon. And Team Peps on the emergency Doomfist pick need to keep the overtime wick burning. And it's so back and forth. Now 3 on the point for Team Peps, chasing down these last stragglers of Sheer Cold to force it to the final fight.
Team Peps are able to grab it back, but look at how much Sheer Cold had to expend into this fight, and to no avail. That was great target priority there from Team Peps, good target focus, great rotations, and now they may even be able to just win the map here. Cronus is going to have that Kitsune Rush online for this next engagement.
All comes down to this last fight, and then KZ has to make space Goes up to the left, has Yoham by his side, and KZ runs into Ben Best, but that shot from Hybrid could have been deadly into NKZ. He does get healed back up. Team Peps feel in control. We'll see if that remains. The Kitsune rush was a huge advantage, and they surged forward at the perfect time to make the ultimate comeback, and Team Peps take Lijiang Tower.
That Doomfist pick too. I like, Ben Best. I know he's really good at the Reinhardt, but he's been playing a little bit of that Doomfist here and there in the OWCS, and it came in clutch to be able to just have that explosive firepower at the end there to slam a target, take them out, and Team Peps, what a comeback for them in that second round for sure.
It's very close on that last round. I think it came down to just better coordination when those two Doomfists ran into each other. I saw a quicker reaction out of Team Peps, and of course you had the Kitsune rush, which was the end-all be-all. But I still was very impressed with Sheer Cold staying competitive against people who have had a longer tenure in Overwatch, and I guess bigger names, as the desk alluded to. But this is exactly what platforms like this are about making your name and making a statement. And I like that Sheer Cold come in as the underdog and make Team Peps sweat for it.
Yeah, I think something else that I wanted to mention before about Sheer Cold is that while Team Peps, they have the veterancy and they have the mental fortitude to be able to shake off something like this. Sheer Cold, they don't really have anything to lose. I was talking to the owner, and this is a team that yes, Sheer Cold has been around for a while. They have been a staple in EMEA contenders for such a long time, being able to build up this new talent. And in that sense too, if you don't have that pressure on your shoulders, hey, you made it to top 8. You're feeling really good about the progress that you've made so far in this tournament. Everything else after that is just the cherry on top. So I wonder if also not having that pressure on your shoulders, unlike a team that does have a lot of that star power and that history to each player's name, helps you out a little bit to just kind of keep your cool and just vibe in a match like this.
Glad to see both these teams have to bounce back after both of these teams just lost, and in a pretty one-sided fashion. And you kind of heard from Jake and having that player experience of how do you mentally reverse yourself after a tough and crushing loss like that, because that hurts the ego, obviously, and all the preparation you did puts you in a situation where if you lose another match, you're out, and all that work for group stage is kind of over. So it's great to see that maybe that's when the experience of Peps really helps out, because the more you play the game, the more you learn how to lose, because it's not exactly how you prepare to win, but what you do as a team when you lose. Less about maybe the adaptations, but also the attitudes and how you can stay positive going forward. So you love to see that out of Team Peps. Really brought it down to the wire when we thought Sheer Cold were going to win that round 3.
Sheer Cold are still so scrappy though. I think their power to adapt in situations was really tested when they had to go up against their final opponents of last week, because I'm even just thinking back to the matchup. I feel like that was the one where I looked at and I'm like, you've got to play against some really wacky things, but good on you to be able to play against a Junkrat, a Mei, all of these different things under the sun, and still find a way to carve out that victory in a very close 5-map series. So I don't want to count them out yet, because I think on Kings Row 2 we have the potential to see some other compositions get played there. NKZ at the very beginning of Lijiang, they had locked into playing the Sigma, and I think once he ended up changing over to the Orisa, it did look night and day difference when we looked at Garden. So if you just lock into it now, maybe does that give you a little bit better stability when it comes down to playing the map?
Yeah, I think the Sigma was a cool choice when it came to just trying to outpoke the Orisa, because I think their Sheer Cold would have more protection in that poke phase to utilize someone with a shield and someone who could take pressure as well as Sigma, but they realized that they weren't winning the poke war, and Team Peps, every time they had a leg up or maybe Naga was on a cool flank, Team Peps stepped forward and really out-pressured NKZ, and Sigma doesn't want to be in close range with Orisa. He wants to depend on that shield, he wants that gap between them. So now Sheer Cold wanted more options on space taking if the poke war wasn't going to be easily won, and the Orisa was the perfect choice to at least go head to head literally against Ben Best in that moment.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. I think that like when it comes down to the damage output too, like we've seen Orisa just be able to start melting people, and I don't think that the Sigma has quite the same stability when it comes to that. But maybe with the Doomfist, you have the ability to get that a little bit better, but the shield, if you want to put value into that, can also be very important.
Okay, back to the Ashe. I think ExoDL was like one of the very few people still running Ashe, because it's just tough to. She's got a strong arm, but Ashe ain't Tom Brady, okay? The Dynamite can't go far enough to maybe access someone like a Sojourn. We'll see how that helps. And not as mobile, too, as Sojourn. She's got strong legs to jump further away. Ashe has to rely on her guns, so Sheer Cold still stuck at this choke. Yeah, they take care of the Lucio, but there's a lot of work ahead of them. They do clear Hotel. It's a fantastic job by ExoDL using the Dynamite to flush out the rats from the room. And that is a crazy repeat, by the way, from Team Peps. But either way, Sheer Cold take the point.
That was great communication there. You saw the accretion hit the Lucio, and the immediate follow-up to be able to take out a V-God meant that you no longer had mobility to move the Orisa around or even be able to help reposition that flank. And as you called out there, the Dynamite from the Ashe is one of the reasons why this hero is so impactful in these team fights. You're sometimes all super clumped up, and even if you're not, like you're bursting down, you are limiting the amount of damage that can come through, or limiting the amount of healing that can come through thanks to the damage passive, and it's a lot of targets at once when you end up exploding the Dynamite. So I think great recognition there, and Sheer Cold with the Sigma get to play a little bit more slowly. They get to sort of walk forward rather than having to take these really fast engagements.
Yeah, Sigma doesn't want to play fast at all, you're right. And I like that Will's on the Tracer to just do something better than Echo. That's all I gotta say. Like, you gotta contend against Naga. You can't let this guy let loose, and Will have to keep Naga held back. But speaking of being held back, Sheer Cold having issues getting through this choke. They're gonna use the Amp Matrix from Yoham to hopefully get Benbest out of their hair. And that helps ExoDL win the range duel too. And Pulse Bomb, oh, what a turn! And I think Naga with the Pulse Bomb in that case. ExoDL is online and he's doing great. Sheer Cold now wipe them from the cart and move forward.
Yeah, I mean, think about that too. With the Ashe bullets, like every time you hit a headshot, it's chunk after chunk after chunk. Like it just has a little bit more potential to be less of like just a sniper, but more of like it's like Cassidy in the same regard, right? Every time you're hitting a headshot shot, you're chunking down your opponents time and time again. Sometimes Sojourn doesn't necessarily have that same amount of accuracy, because if you're not hitting those headshots, you're not deleting a target, you're not actually getting a meaningful amount of damage down all the time.
Okay, Sound Barrier and Terra Surge from Benbest in these tiny alleyways. That could be, alley-oop! Oh, teleported away, which dropped the Pulse Bomb right on Hybrid, I think. Sheer Cold are in trouble. They don't have supports. They're not even here, so they'll start some trouble later.
Oh my goodness. Oh, that's so rough. Oh, that's so rough. Yeah, I think like you just have to back up at this point. It's been a long time since I've seen something like that. The character's just like, I'm so sorry, you have to take this one to the team, bud. But now, this gives them a little bit of, I think, an opportunity here to just like reset up this defense. You're not super worried about like Hybrid having to come back. I think Sheer Cold as well. They're going to be a little bit slower to get going, which is also nice to buy some time for Team Peps' reinforcements. But it's so slow with the Sigma. You got to keep up with this momentum and this pressure. But look at this rotation they're taking.
Yeah, they heard you calling them slow, and they said, let's zoom into alleyway. Look for Gravitic Flux. Okay, not just the one guy. You want the best bang for your buck. And I think they still only grabbed one person. Got Benbest to have health, though, but again, it takes a lot to kill an Orisa. Speaking of that, Benbest very low, and that could be what spells the end of Team Peps on this defense for point B. But he's brought right back up thanks to that Kitsune rush, and Team Peps look like they stabilized, but so much burst from Sheer Cold came out. I think ExoDL went forward to try and help get eyes on Benbest and lost his life in the progress. Overclock at an off-angle, Hybrid announces his departure after that, and Sheer Cold getting real close to point B.
I think they're just going to cap it here. But like, again, it's an accretion into a chase down from Will on this Tracer that completely shut down that overclock from Hybrid. That is the second point unlocked here for Sheer Cold. They get a chance to try to work their way towards this final checkpoint, and it's some smooth sailing. But NKZ is actually going to switch things up. The Sigma, not so powerful on this third point. You want to try to take these engagements fast, especially because you have 3 minutes on the clock. So Orisa works out really nicely there, especially because Ben Best also switched over to the Winston.
Yeah, you can bully the heck out of a Winston with Orisa. Just javelin him out of the bubble. You can actually safely go into the bubble because you're so survivable. You have all of that armor. So great swap out of Sheer Cold. Even the Cassidy, very immobile and not very meta. But what is meta is a pulse bomb to the head. Fantastic job by Will, having a great impact in this match. As Sheer Cold up by 1 forces Ben Best back. That has to peel for his supports. Not sure what's even going on back here, but you like that Team Peps are going to regroup.
Now, ExoDL is actually going to be going over to the Cassidy now, too. So you've got the mag grenade potential, maybe just a little bit more chaos here.
It is very chaotic. The sound barriers exchange. Everyone's tussling in a tiny room, but that's where Ben Best can get the most DPS with the Winston. And yeah, the Winston is just gonna get shredded. If there's no bubble, if there's not 100% attention on that Winston, he's gonna get bursted. Last minute Kitsune rush from the defense, but the Terra Surge to zone out any staggers touching the cart. Great push out of Sheer Cold with 2 minutes on the board.
Oh, that's like the best Terror Surge we've seen in a couple of weeks. Maybe a little bit set up there for the slam dunk, but nonetheless impactful with those 2 kills onto the squishies. But what a great push there from Sheer Cold. It felt like such smooth sailing through that second point, even into the third. Like they were just on a roll. And I think a lot of it came down to just the coordination. Like the opening pick that we saw from the accretion into FD God, the opening, the final pick that we saw on point B for the accretion there onto Hybrid. That's how you open up those fights, is just stun locking somebody.
Absolutely.
So valuable.
Yeah, I definitely think the DPS from Sheer Cold put in a lot of work. I think ExoDL single-handedly won Sheer Cold the first point. Like, taking control of Hotel is such an important power position. Then Yoham helped with the Ant Matrix to break through the main choke. And then, you know, there was some stoppage from Team Peps when it came to point B. But eventually Sheer Cold broke through using that alleyway, switching up their composition. Actually, they swapped up at point C. But it feels like Sheer Cold did a lot of studying in this meta and came in with specific compositions for specific points, and they look more prepared.
They look really prepared. And I think the other thing that's going to make this matchup really interesting to watch is just pay attention to NKC Ben Best. How do they get the upper hand on the tank choices? Like, this is now the 3rd hero that we've seen NKC play. Sigma, Orisa, now it's the Ramatra, and the Ramatra versus the Orisa. This is another one that I feel like we've seen before. Just go in and start punching the Orisa down.
Yeah, but it's tough because the javelin from the Orisa will push the Ramatra back. Ramatra doesn't like a poke war. Yes, he has a shield, but it's fraud watch on that shield tank. He really likes to brawl and throw some left and right hooks, and the Orisa dominates both in close range and long range, so it has to be a really coordinated push out of Sheer Cold. And how about some coordinated shots? You love to see that at ExoDL. Who's going to be able to contest that on the high ground? Like, Naga has to go all the way up there, or maybe Hybrid could land some shots too. But for now, Sheer Cold hold on to the defense.
Yeah, they're even going to push up on this a little bit here just to get a little bit more poke as Team Pep start to move in. Ben Best is half. So if there's any sort of flank that can happen there, you can see Strebor kind of trying to go towards that Orisa, maybe get a little bit of a flank there. It could be a dead tank.
And Naga finds himself out in the open next to a phone booth, and he's trying to call 911. He does recall and get himself back to full. Kitsune rush and Hybrid eats another pulse bump for breakfast. Will just has him in the death note at this point. You love to see Will come in and prove that, well, resume, tenure, veteranship, that don't matter. Sheer Cold, they're just scrappy and it's working out.
Sheer Cold has always been kind of scrappy though. Like maybe not some of the cleanest engagements, but they've got a lot of willpower, both figuratively and literally. I didn't realize that because we also have Will the Tracer. But it is nice to see that like Sheer Cold, like they do want this win, despite maybe just kind of going for just the extra little bits and bobbles of getting a good placement in the OWCS. They're bringing everything they've got here to this match.
Wow, Naga almost just one-clipped the guy before he reacted, but sound barrier from Team Peps. Trevor is holding on to it. Sheer Cold are confident. They want to pair with the Annihilation. And, well, that's a pretty tanky guy. And the Pulse Bomb didn't do much. Sheer Cold, everyone is following up with NKZ. Will got a double kill, but the Terra Surge pushed Sheer Cold back. So Team Peps seem to be ahead in kills. Now starting to accumulate that first tick. Will, though, is still kicking. And he's on fire, too. So he'll be able to rejoin the team. On the chase, though, is Naga. Spots the rest of the team. FD God is going to go finish what Naga couldn't, apparently. And Team Peps can push this advantage even more if they want.
I think you don't want to overextend, though, right? Because Exodial is still set up here around the bookstore. Nice defensive position for NKC to take as well with the Ramatra. I am just impressed that Will has another Pulse Bomb online. Like, it was not only like 30 seconds ago that we saw him land that one onto Team Peps, and now he's got another one in the bank. This one didn't hit its mark, but you're still, I think, feeling really good about just kind of continuing to see Will put on that pressure there with the Pulse and just the Tracer.
Yeah, Amp Matrix as soon as Team Peps want to step out, and there's dynamites raining down. This is not fun for Team Peps, but hey, they didn't die, so they get to play the game, so it ends up being fun after all. But good timing by Sheer Cold. Just maybe needed to focus down a target to get a kill off that Amp Matrix. Now Team Peps respond with a Kitsune Rush, forcing Sheer Cold back a few corners, and it's like a chess match between these two.
It's really great recognition on both sides. Just a good disengage here from Team Peps away from the amplification matrix, and now the rotations as the big flanks start to come through. Ash, though, on that high ground for Exodial is really shutting down Hybrid's ability to just try to get a good angle onto the team. It's great rotations, and I think Sheer Cold 2 are making this one a pretty big dogfight.
Okay, the Bob is going to be behind Team Peps. They want to crunch them from the front and the back. It's a pain sandwich, and Team Peps don't even have a sound barrier to help them. No supports at all, actually. So this is a fantastic place for Sheer Cold to have their defense. Similar to Team Peps on point B, you can take down a lot of time at this point of the map.
You can. Team Peps, like you've got the sound barrier here from FD God. You might want to use that a little bit proactively in order to give yourself more staying power. And the nice thing too, from Team Peps' perspective, is that Sheer Cold, they only have this Pulse Bomb to work with. If you are quick on your feet, you can dodge it out, and maybe that's exactly what you need. But look at the pace that's getting set here. Everybody's just kind of swarming them from the get-go.
Yeah, FD God's dancing around. He's like, where did that Pulse Bomb go? Having flashbacks, but a well-timed Suzu from Cronus came in to save them. Team Peps have a huge ult advantage. They really got to press this, but Sheer Cold disengaging is so smart. You don't want to take any risks. You want to see if you can depend on the sound barrier from Strabor to absorb some of the blunts of this blow, because oh my god, a Terra Surge plus sound barrier is pretty painful. It does an initial dent into Sheer Cold. They already used the sound barrier. Now there's nothing to save Sheer Cold, and you're barely able to use that Amp Matrix when there's a Tracer where the sun don't shine. Team Peps, though, overcommitting and not coming out with all the kills. Look how deep Ben Best is, by the way, on the right. He is hungry for that point B. Team Peps want to ignore this Ramatra shield and access the real threats in this backline. 23 seconds. Team Peps may not be able to afford a full reset, and they got to make that decision quick.
Yeah, I mean, Hybrid's just got to power slide out of there, because if he does get staggered, that is for sure what's going to happen. Jen, you spelled it out right there. Even Ben Best has to come back on the Doomfist, because otherwise they're not going to be able to get back to this card in time. What a commit of ultimates, not able to get anything done. It's all on this overclock.
Okay, I thought
Where
we were
are the
gonna add to your
kills?
C9 counter. Well, let's look at the kill count first. And wow, this Tracer already harassing Hybrid, who needs to stay focused to finish off these targets. Benbest is on the emergency Doomfist, which may not be super helpful. And then the Exodial Bob is that extra man on the field. Sheer cold. Full, not full hold, but hold Peps at point B entire series.
The scrappiness, they've got it in them. Sheer cold, like they really want to go further in this competition, and I think you saw the communication, the coordination there firsthand. And the other thing is, like, those DPS, they woke up. Like XOD hitting all those shots, keeping Team Peps from having a cohesive push time and time again. How many first picks did we see XOD be able to get, whether it was on a flank or just somebody that was holding down main?
Yeah, I think Benbest isolated himself in that last fight. Like, I was looking like me out there. Just, if my DPS can't kill me, go in and kill supports myself. You saw the frustration out of Team Peps to really take care of Exodial, who's the biggest threat. The fact that he got Bob online that last fight sealed the deal for Sheer Cold. And Team Peps, kind of surprising to see Hybrid struggle in this matchup. Definitely Exodial looked like the real star, and Hybrid is still trying to keep up.
Yeah, the Ashe, like, I think the big thing about it is just, like, look at that headshot damage. You finish off that Tracer with a snap of your fingers. The dynamite damage helps out with that DPS passive so that the healing is just mitigated even slightly. And then you also have the Bob that got a tiny little buff to the damage output. And everything all adds up here for this Ashe in a DPS heavy meta. Exodial hitting the shots too for sure helps there. Look at how, like, Benbest got locked down and forced to use those defensive cooldowns. I mean, like, this is crazy. That is not an 11.0, is it? Surely that's not what that is.
They're crazy.
No shot.
11 KDA. Okay, someone signed.
That's wrong.
Cold.
That has to be wrong.
I love it though.
I was
Definitely.
like, man, like I could totally see it being like double of Team Peps, but like, wow. I don't know about that one. We'll have to go back and crunch the numbers again. But it still came up sheer cold in that match. I think they've really started to feel themselves when it comes out to this matchup, and I don't know. This third map, like, this will be very telling to see who actually has the power between these two teams.
Yeah, winning control can sometimes be just like a Mickey Mouse map. Like, it's so chaotic, and you have to make these panic decisions. You have no space to work with if you're a DPS, and that I think less experienced teams can really struggle in those chaotic environments. But once I think Sheer Cold looked like they had a more established plan, when they can actually execute a plan and not just deathmatch on control, that's when Sheer Cold looked a lot more decisive. I mean, Will is delivering pulse bombs consistently. XOD on the Ashe is cool. I was low-key hating. I mean, I was straight up honest that I wasn't sure about the comp that Sheer Cold are running. You would think in a vacuum, Orisa counters the Ramatra, the Sojourn should be able to win against the Ashe, who has the most annoying reload in the world. Like, there was so many ways I thought Team Peps should have just been able to execute better, but they couldn't.
I think Sheer Cold, one of the big highlights for me and their team is that you might look at them having some unconventional compositions, but like they work. Even just going back to that 5-map series that they had versus I'm looking at like, oh, you play Widowmaker Echo on Shambali, it's working. That's cool. And then like Zarya. Yeah, with the Zarya too, like Cassidy Tracer Zarya on a lot of these maps, and just kind of some of these more interesting compositions that not only give us variety as viewers, but might only work out for a team like Sheer Cold, who are so practiced together as a team at this point. And like, it's kind of like the whole maybe Clockwork Vendetta sort of issue, where how do you actually get practice against a team that is able to run such a unique composition? And the Torbjorn, the Orisa, oh, those were the good old days of of that team. But that is kind of similarly, Sheer Cold is Sheer Cold. No one else plays like them.
And you're exactly right. Like, how do you play against a team when you don't scrim against that composition very often? I don't know their experience playing against each other. Sheer Cold have chosen to go to Coliseo. Both these teams have had a struggle bus of a time on this map, but Sheer Cold are very confident in their range duel of Exodial versus Hybrid. And, you know, to give like a head pat to Hybrid, I would have struggles aiming too if I had Will behind me at all times. Will was harassing Hybrid non-stop, like to the point where Naga and Hybrid had to play hot potato with the pulse bomb all the time. So I don't blame him, and maybe that's just up to Naga to keep Will in his place a bit better.
That's the other thing about the Ashe that I was noticing a lot is like how Exodial was playing the Ashe. Yes, you're also getting marked by a Tracer. You've got Naga on the other side that is going to try to lock down those DPS or try to lock down a support, but you've got the coach gun on your side, and you look at the power slide capabilities of the Sojourn, and you're like, wow, that is a great way to be able to create space between you and that Tracer. But then what that Tracer is doing is it's pushing you away from the angle that you're trying to take. Versus the Ashe, you're not actually jumping away too far with that coach gun, and in the process, you're pushing the Tracer back. So it feels like it's a little bit better in those closer knit quarters where King's Row, you have very few opportunities to take those angles, and that power slide is just not doing you any favors to actually move away and try to grab a new angle. But Coliseo, a little bit more open, maybe a little bit more versatile in that department.
Yeah, it's a bit trickier with on this map to play Tracer because you have to take these long routes around, and maybe if there's a Coliseo rework that takes care of the glass, maybe that won't be the case. Mauga
alert. Mauga alert.
Why?
We got a Mauga on our team. We also have a Symmetra that's staying. So, like,
He's
Symmetra...
bald? Where is Mauga's hair? Bald buff alert. Anyway, Team Peps are going to play fast, aggressive, and loose. Team Peps relying on the old and true, you know? If the old, what they were running before didn't work, maybe this will.
Hey, I mean, I'm gonna give credit where credit is due. Jake said he didn't mind this. The damage output of Mauga is still pretty effective. And you'll see that too, even just with the overrun. It's a nice stun to be able to make some space for the team.
Team Peps not winning the DPS duel right now, and now that Hybrid is missing, Naga hopes to maybe help the team leave the situation. Actually, he's just gonna go down with the ship, and great. Cheercold just dealt with the pressure well again off of that Sigma. NKZ did that well on Lijiang Tower, and I'm glad they brought it back.
I'm sorry, I want to call out too. Those stats were accurate. Cheercold had an 11 KD. Holy. Okay, well, they're off to a great start here too. Able to push back the Mauga. We see the Symmetra here. The teleporter may prove to be a little bit tricky for Sheer Cold to be able to walk onto some of these targets, but that's what you've got the Lucio there for. You've also got Cronus that's going to be able to have those wall climbs with the Kiriko and help try to lock down some of that high ground. Also, the Amp Matrix.
Benbash just said come on and slam, but did not get to make any jam. That's really unfortunate. I mean, you have to go in as Mauga. You don't have a shield like NKZ. You're gonna lose the poke war, so you gotta try and get past that shield somehow. And Benbash likes to play aggressive. He showed us exactly that on the Orisa on King's Row. I just think the Orisa would have more survivability in this case. There's been a lot of heavy nerfs to Mauga, the health, the cardiac, which now Benbest is into cardiac arrest, but now he's getting stunned up. He is gonna shove this Sigma back, hopefully away from his team, but look at all the ults that come out of Sheer Cold. Gravitic Flux, Overclock, and Benbest gets tossed back to heaven, and Team Peps are trying to compete.
Oh, there you go. I mean, that is going to help here. Hybrid's able to get the jump there onto Exodial. It does take out that Sojourn that has just been pumping out so much damage, but the damage has still been done. You've got this push bot that is so close to that objective, and you're even going to be able to help keep away some type of contest if you're able to just push that Sigma forward. But you do have this bridge contest now. You're just going to get the overhang. Wow. Nice rotation too, just to be like, we almost have it. We've got a little bit of a lead. Let's back off. Try to play in this neutral fight.
Yeah, Team Peps really have to be coordinated maybe with the Symmetra. It feels like Benbest has an idea and the rest of the team has a different idea. Maybe because these flankers are crazy. Will, great pulse bomb onto Cronus. You shut down the ability to use the Kitsune rush. And, you know, the healing, the lack of healing is certainly going to be felt. They protect themselves, at least with the photon barrier, so Team Peps buy themselves some room to breathe. But now that that's down, Sheer Cold reemerge, and Team Peps aren't even here.
That's wild. Symmetra did get a couple of buffs that did not get reverted in this patch. Like, turrets are still going to be a little bit healthier. Teleporter as well. But the teleporter is also so,
in the middle of death. Yeah. Like, they teleported
it's so telegraphed. Like, it's so telegraphed.
Yeah. It scared me.
That did scare me too. It still works out for them, right? Because like while it's telegraphed, yes, you get the disruptor shot down onto the teleporter. They still played that beautifully, and so it's nice to be able to see that happen. But was that a back cap?
Oh god.
Is that the point?
Oh god.
Is that the second objective?
Yeah, they did that.
Are we watching Japan OWCS?
Get your counter ready, but
oh wait, no, it looks like it was just barely there. I think. I listen. It's hard to tell sometimes when you're taking a look at the map, but no, that was so close.
Oh, he's just coming in like a train. Choo choo, get out of Ben Best's way. But NKZ's just gonna ignore him. Donowall use the grab flux on the rest of the team. FD God salvages it with the sound barrier, but everyone from Team Peps is dying. Low HP. Exit via teleporter, hopefully with their lives. Not really though. Sheer Cold still up 66-13, 5 minutes left, and there's flashes in the pan for Team Peps with the coordinated Mauga Symmetra thing, but Ben Best is back to the Winston.
Yeah, Winston, I think, just gives you a little bit more ability to jump on a target like Exodeal. You also have Yoham that's playing this Baptiste, so a little bit more stationary than what we would see out of something like the Kiriko. But no, that push bot's going. I don't know. I can't believe my eyes anymore, Lemon. Like, this is a very dominating performance so far by Sheer Cold. We still have 4 minutes on the clock, but
oh, wow. What a great place to take the fight if you're Sheer Cold, like in an area with low ceilings, close quarters that this Winston does not want to tussle in. But Shrebor still had to use the sound barrier to disengage the team, which is not ideal. But hey, you get to have another fight soon, I guess, and it'll be up to Ben Best to lead that charge. The rest of the team are going left. Team Peps want to crush them from multiple angles. They might have collapsed on some supports. They've isolated NKZ with the bubble, but he gets back up on his feet. Immortality used by Yoham, who got pressured on the initial dive, and Team Peps, they just can't afford to lose people like this. They got to bring momentum. There's only 3.5 minutes left, and they'll have to make do without Naga using the sound barrier. They have NKZ low, but Team Peps can't seem to bring the fire.
This looks like Team Peps panicking. Like, Naga going over to the Genji off of the Tracer. You're giving up the opportunity to try to mark Will on this Tracer, but like it wasn't working, so you're just trying to throw some things at the wall and see what sticks. And this right now, it just looks like Team Peps throwing everything in the kitchen sink at this zone and hoping something is on the wall at the end of this.
Yeah. Exodeal trying to paint the walls with this overclock, and FD guys is jumping from the left to the right, and not fast enough. Exodeal has been locking it down on this Sojourn. And Team Peps, I mean, they're trying different comps, and I like that they're not too stubborn on one composition that's not working. They're trying different things, but Sheer Cold are just different.
Sheer Cold are so different. I mean, like they're just like Exodeal different. I think is one of the things that's been really impressive to me is just how mechanically skilled Exodeal has been in these matches. Like, it's gonna be a big test of strength to see how he matches up against like a player like Kai, for example, right? But this is working out super well. Sheer Cold, they might be at an ult disadvantage now, but it really hasn't mattered in a lot of these fights for them. They're just able to kind of do things like that, snipe out FD God, and then force Team Peps to use ult, but is it enough?
Ooh. Oh, I thought it was a party on the dance floor. Not gonna have to deal with the immortality, but killing the Baptiste and Shrebor is dead. Sheer Cold are in trouble. but Will's Pulse Bomb killing Benbest. Like, Team Peps just don't have bodies left to even make the most out of this.
They are able to get the cart back, but I think what makes Colosseo so difficult for a lot of these teams that are playing from a meterage disadvantage is that where that cart always walks back to is this middle point. And if you've got a player like Exodial that is consistently getting these first picks, those neutrals are always going to go in favor of Sheer Cold. Can Hybrid work some magic with this overclock? It's going to have to be something here to push them back.
Oh, that's frustrating. Benbest went to dive in, gets boot back, and still hasn't been healed. Like, it took forever. Like, he has to pop the primal just to still be involved in this fight. Cronus just has his hands full. There's so many ducklings to worry about. And not getting that last kind of back clap on Exodial is adding to the frustration. I'm feeling him right now. Team Peps, though, still won the fight, and they're getting close to matching the score. They're down 40 meters, but 45 seconds left. It's last fight.
It is, but that was a good fight to take here. Now they get a chance to work a little bit more on the bridge. Benbest with the Primal Rage was able to disrupt that backline enough in order for Hybrid to get some work done with that overclock. But you're looking at the sound barrier here from FD God. That has to be the saving grace, and it's Exodial now who has the time to shine. Big accretion into the back, too.
Okay, Giga Chat Hybrid with the sound barrier trying to tussle with NKZ, who puts him to bed permanently. 53, I think, meters for Team Peps, and they're barely still kicking. Not having Cronus in this fight is just terrible. Sheer Cold, just so coordinated in these fights, shutting down the Winston, shutting down the Maga. You try everything, and Sheer Cold are gonna dominate, so they take Colosseo.
The back cap. I'm still thinking about that. I hope we get a replay of that a little bit later or a highlight or something, because like after that came through, how frustrating is it to have to play knowing that like you gave up a checkpoint, now you've given them forward spawns. Like it just made the job so much harder after Team Peps had worked so hard to keep them from being able to capture that first checkpoint. So yeah, like Sheer Cold is coming up gold for them. It's looking really, really good. And Team Peps, nothing that they're throwing at these different team compositions is working. And that is something that Sheer Cold is saying. Like, they've got versatility. They've got the ability to play so many different compositions, so many different styles, and they're proving it.
There's also, I think, a clash of play styles on the side of Team Peps. You have Benbest who wants to W, go in, let's get a W, and he's only finding L's, and they eventually coordinated off of a symmetric teleporter, and that was like the flashes of brilliance that maybe Team Peps, with a coordinated plan going in, with a composition they have well practiced, can get past the Sigma and can break that structure apart. But then we went back to the Winston. Winston got booped. Winston got bullied. Winston was dead. So I could see Team Peps trying different things, but Benbest is playing too aggressive, but I don't think Cronus is giving him the amount of support that he needs for how crazy he's playing. And Cronus is doing his best to also do DPS on his own, but there's a lot of things that Team Peps have to work out, and unfortunately this is one of their last maps to show that they've adapted.
Yeah, for sure. I look, actually, I think this is the back cap. Look, somebody's pushing the push bot. They are just fighting in mid. You get the checkpoint and you can see Team Peps turn around. They turn around and it's way too late. Will has done it. What is it with these tracers in these matchups in OWCS? They're able to get these like insane objectives. I'm still thinking about that Namakuchi Brothers back cap from OWCS Japan, but like absolutely crazy that that's come through. And I think you're right, Jen. Like there is this this disconnect that's coming through on Team Peps that is really pulling them apart right now. But once again, like Sheer Cold is dominating.
Yeah, where's that 11 KDA though? Because I thought you were capping. You were not capping. That was an 11 KDA.
That was 11. That was an 11. Like the stats don't lie. It was like so night and day on that map. I can't
Why
believe
no A plus though?
I was looking at that. I was like, no
KDA.
way.
No A plus for a Sheer Cold. I guess we gotta settle with an A minus. No 11 KDA.
I know. Come on, you're missing the vertical there.
Ooh, New Chunk City. Dude, I had to think for a second what NJC meant. It's a very long name. I agree.
It is. It's a lot of syllables. It's 4. It's too much. So, Servos is actually also 4, so never mind.
Our brains are working
worry about
overdrive
it.
right now.
Don't worry about it. Anyway, but yeah, like, what are you gonna pick here? I don't know if it matters.
Maybe Malga. This looks like a Malga map. They just got to play a ring around the rosy on the first point, a lot of close quarters, kind of ready to slam in and rush them down. Maybe this could be friendlier towards the Malga, and we'll see if the Sigma even has real space to operate with. There's definitely some points on New Junk City where you can play distant from the point, kind of watch over it with a Sigma and take angles around, but I'm hoping Sheer Cold maybe go back to a Ramatra if they have to brawl it out. But and Casey also does look very comfortable and unchallenged, to be honest, on the Sigma.
He could play anything. Like, he's been able to play anything. I want to get out the bingo card though, because we've seen basically every tank at this point. I think we're I think we're just missing the Zarya, I think.
Go Zarya,
and
YOLO.
Diva, actually. Yeah. Give us the full trifecta, or the full gauntlet of tanks in Overwatch.
Kind of like Jake's philosophy on the desk of, I don't know why I'm picking this, but YOLO.
Yeah, a wrecking ball, a wrecking ball and Roadhog. Okay. We're missing a couple. Junker Queen. Sorry, there's so many tanks in Overwatch 2 at this point that we're missing actually a lot. But still, the bingo card exists. We might get a full bingo of something.
Yeah.
But
Well, we gotta roll. We gotta roll for some bingo because there's something up with one of the players. So we're gonna throw it to a quick break. When we get back, we'll have our next map.
I think it's time to blow this scene. Get everybody in the stuff together. Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's jam.
Well, 2 minutes ago, I just found out that Maga is actually bald on that skin. We were actually just giggling about that. I had
It's
no idea.
only that one skin. He has great hair.
They did him dirty on that. I'm not gonna lie.
In an
bald buff did not work
alternate
out, though.
space universe, Mauga is bald. So true.
It's crazy. Usually people like spend money to put on hair, not get rid of it. But hey, that's Zarya that she wanted. Get back to a serious topic. That Zarya you wanted. There.
Maybe. Maybe just maybe we get to see it. I was saying, look it. We're getting like the whole gauntlet of if this is actually what comes out of these gates, we're only missing a couple tanks, and we still might see them in this match. Oh my god, that's actually crazy. Wait, Peps has got the
Yeah, the
soccer
girly pop skin.
We love
Oh.
it. Girly pop skin, love it.
Girly
Sorry,
pop.
You're right. You're so valid.
Stars emoji, lipstick, nails emoji, whatever. But Peps is back to his roots. He said, screw the Maga, I'm going way back, time machine style, to the Reinhardt. What he was subbed in to do, now he could be aggressive and it won't be his fault, it'll be everybody else's. If your Reinhardt dies, it's not your fault, right?
No, but this is how you get on the same page. Just play a composition that is meant to play together. You've got the Symmetra, you've got the Reinhardt. This is like the London Spitfire special with the Mei as well. And it could work out here if they're able to just get in there and get some stuns.
Oh, wow. Well, we'll stun them permanently, stop their hearts, and KZ is farming up energy too. So Team Peps, if they go in, they got to finish what they started. You can't let NKZ, especially a Zarya, scale like that.
No, you're going to be so high charged too. Like with the projectile changes with that beam, you're hitting so many targets. If you are charged up, you're melting people. And it takes the Symmetra a little bit longer to get online to be able to match some of that DPS output. So it can be a little bit tough, I think, to try to get on the same page. And even though we got some tank buffs to Reinhardt, you've got a little bit more fire strike damage. You still got to be elite with how you actually nail those down.
Oh boy. 50% for Sheer Cold on this first. Whoa! Will, the carry is dead. They brought one with them. You got like 2 or 3K on the first fight, and you wanted this Death Blossom to go burr. Sheer Cold will just have to do damage without him. And KZ is basically a DPS at 100 HP or 100 energy, and Naga is barely getting out. And these right clicks from the Zarya do so much AoE too. So Team Peps are dead in the water. They're drowning. They're not coming back to the surface. It's 88%. Team Peps got a touch. Sheer Cold could easily grab them and force them to C9. You could add that to your counter, but they're not going to force them to C9, unfortunately.
No, they can't. They can't touch. I think this is smart recognition from Team Peps. They know that they're going to have to just go to the next flashpoint. They didn't get any intel until now where that's going to be, but they had a good idea. Now they're able to sort of beat them to the punch, but Reinhardt's going to perm a shield just to make sure that they're actually going to get this rotation into Refinery. But Sheer Cold, like they're on a different level right now. Even with the Symmetra teleporter from Team Peps, like they're just not going to get there to play this defensive position.
Blizzard would go crazy.
Grab Blossom though from Sheer Cold?
Yeah, I guess whose side is gonna win. Let's find out. Photon Bear is they kind of built themselves a base on 1/3 of the point. So they got good protection, but what about the thing that matters? Damage. Well, that's all Sheer Cold have with the grab. And there's your death helicopter coming in. That is a great job by Will at the sound barrier, but if everyone presses Q, is it really that good for Sheer Cold? A win's a win, though. Am I right?
You take the win. Just take the W. Just take the W. Take the point capture. Team Peps did get a little bit of charge there, but they have to go back to the drawing board. Ben Best is going to give up the Reinhardt, going to go over to the Ramatra instead, and we're also going to see a bit of a switch up here. Hybrid going over to the Sojourn, and I think this is going to be a little bit better. I just don't know if Reinhardt's like is it. I don't think he's him with even just the tiny buffs that he did get in the, I guess 2 patches ago. It's not helping. So Ramatra, a good way to still continue to play with this team, play with this Mei. Naga has a great Mei too, so you love to see it.
I'm hearing the cope in your voice, but I'm gonna go with it until they prove me otherwise. But Amp Matrix from Cronus, Sheer Cold do not want to be in line of sight of that 74%. They still somehow have the point. So I feel like Team Peps are doing a great job zoning, but not taking the real estate that they have assigned themselves to. And a punish onto Will is a great start. You got that Reaper away from you, and now they can cap the point, but 94% for Sheer Cold. It's only going to take one fight for them to take that round.
Yeah, but you've got this Mei Blizzard, and this is a fantastic AoE ultimate. It fills up basically the whole point, and if you're able to lock down Sheer Cold into a tiny room, even better, right? So having the Ramatra shield, I think you're able to play around that nicely. It actually, with the Ramatra choice, has forced NKZ to switch. You're giving up all of that Zarya charge, but I think you get more benefit from playing the Ramatra into this composition. NKZ has already proven himself on this hero.
Ooh, Blizzard. Who's frozen? I don't know. NKZ's dead, though. Got walled off. Fantastic job by Naga. And Team Peps just have to conserve this sound barrier if there were to be another fight. Forced and Death Blossom as Peps walked in. Will is trying to even up the numbers. And it's working out. He forced Ben Best back. Naga's in Ice Block. Will is doing the Lord's work, but he joins the Lord at the end. 94 for Sheer Cold, and they don't have control. Ben Best is blocking, and he's got some strong forearms, and that will allow Team Peps to take that second round and even things up.
Oh, that was so close, though. You saw the last-ditch effort from Johan to be able to use that Kitsune Rush, and while I believe in the Kirikos of the world, especially at this level, to hit those shots, it was a panic to try to be able to get that win. And why would you not, right? You saw your Reaper get a 3K with the Death Blossom, if you also include the Immortality Field. But it was still enough to even the score to make that even potentially possible. ExoDL was also still up. You invest that. But it's going to be a switch here. Will's going to go over to the Tracer. Maybe a little bit better to deal with something like Hybrid in the back, because Will has been very lethal with these Tracer pulses.
There's so many ults by Team Peps. It starts with the Ant Matrix, just to hose down the fire of Sheer Cold. They used the sound barrier when they kind of looked like they were disengaging, so at least they live, but for how long? There's an Annihilation Donk walking towards them. What a wall from Naga to shut the door. You're stuck in here with me. And Ben Best comes out on top. Now, you know, an important thing is the objective, folks, so Team Peps will cap that.
Are you believing in the May now?
All right. I'm on board with the cope.
No, it's see, like I like to call out like the positives of this May. You saw it right there with the wall being able to isolate a target. The ice block from May still has that buff too, where she is healing a little bit more per second as well when she's in that ice block form. So it feels really nice to just have this May plus the slow from the cryo. Just the general primary fire is going to be helpful to just make somebody a little bit more easy to kill. So Team Peps, they've got control. They almost have 50% before Sheer Cold are going to be able to make an effort on this point, but overclocks.
Overclocked. Oh, no shield for Ben Best. Sound barrier, though. The extra layer of protection, and ExoDL couldn't slide away. And Team Peps, well, they get to conserve the rest of their ultimates and ideally take the point now that they have Sheer Cold 6 feet under. So Team Peps care about finishing off what they started, I guess, and Great Immortality in case that pulse spawn from Will were to do something. And Team Peps are still allowing Sheer Cold to accumulate all of this. Now NKZ drops to contest the point one last time. This will be flipped over shortly. Team Peps are starting to lose supports though, so maybe Peps fumbled the bag. They should have definitely capped earlier.
Oh yeah, that though. Okay, I was wondering what was scarier than a Ramatra in Annihilation, and it's apparently a Ramatra in Annihilation on a Kitsune Rush. You talk about the lightsaber action of the Genji just being able to kind of slice and dice with the Dragon Blade on that ultimate, but I think the Ramatra is pummeling you into the ground. Yeah, you're nothing after that.
It's like a Dragon Ball Z fight, which is punches undergoing like light speed.
Exactly.
All right, that's our next collab, everybody. How do we get
Please
Dragon Ball
make this
involved?
happen. Oh my god, please.
They would take all my money, honestly.
It's so true, though. If they didn't already.
Well, Sheer Cold are trying to get that bag, too, because they're very close to taking this round and getting themselves to map point, I gotta say. I was trying to find the right word. Annihilation sound barrier, though. Team Peps running away as fast as they can. And Sheer Cold taking back control, being in the driver's seat. Team Peps can't hold on for much longer, so Sheer Cold are ahead by a round.
Yeah, this could be the final round as well. If Sheer Cold close it out here, remember the loser of this map or this match is gonna go home, and you don't want to be ending your tournament run on day number 1. So Team Peps, they've got to bring it back into this one. They have an opportunity to. Maybe it's gonna be Ben Best switching up tanks once again in this matchup to go over to the Orisa. We're playing rock paper scissors now with this tank roll, Jen. It's gonna be the Orisa to beat the Ramatra. Maybe NKZ switching back over to the Zarya or the Sigma or something like that. But for now, Ben Best, he's trying to make this Orisa work here with the rest of the team. Hybrid and Naga gotta lock in.
Last time I said it was a comp diff in favor of Team Peps, I was on King's Row when this matchup happened, and it didn't end well for Team Peps. But it's ending well for ExoDL, winning the Sojourn duel against Hybrid once again. Team Peps are all stuck in a corner. Sheer Cold, they're on the chase. They smell blood in the water, and it's Ben Best hoping to escape, using the javelin well, but they may be staggered, and Naga throws a pulse as Sheer Cold. We're still chasing Ben Best, so Peps kind of using Ben Best as bait there. You love to see it. 30% plus so by Sheer Cold. They've now fallen back after that pulse bomb to defend themselves, and they're losing a lot of space. Ben Best is being aggressive, and it's Sound Barrier versus Kitsune Rush, and Sheer Cold do not have the health to hang.
No, it's a good aggressive push here from Team Peps. They are able to take advantage of Sheer Cold in that vulnerable position of having a little bit of a late exodeal to that fight. But Team Peps too, like a great sound barrier to be able to actually react to the Kitsune Rush that got layered over the point. So Ben Best is going to be coming up big with this Orisa matchup. Hybrid now having a lot of space, gets that overclock back online, and it looks good so far. Cronus as well. I think the big difference maker between the Baptiste and the Kiriko is like Baptiste doesn't have to play with the team. You can use this high ground and who can actually get you. Yep, that's a backup. That is a go away moment.
Be careful of edges. Don't be close to those. That's where javelins are gonna hurt, and that's where finally that advantage of the space creation with the javelin helps out Ben Best for once. And if all of that focus goes into Ben Best, Team Peps can just use that to their advantage and hope that they can be elusive and try to get behind Sheer Cold. Meanwhile, it's a couple percent away for Team Peps to force the final round. Kitsune Rush. Oh, Sheer Cold couldn't get there in time. They tried to touch, and it all comes down to a final round to see if Sheer Cold will take the series or will Team Peps force a game 5.
A good zoning Terra Surge. I never thought I'd say that, but like it worked out really great though for Ben Best to lock down that front line, so they actually couldn't get there in time for that flashpoint. Now they've got an extra life in this game. See if they can close out that final flashpoint here. But Sheer Cold, they just won that fight. They're able to beat Team Peps to the punch once again if they're able to get there fast enough on this rotation. Cronus has his amplification matrix. I think one of the tricky things about this ultimate though in these types of corridors is like who gets to use it.
Ideally a hybrid. I guess he's trying to overclock through it, and then NKZ just walks up with Annihilation, denies the use of that, and he's getting all the support in the world. And, well, you know, with the sound barrier too, but the whole team was on board, whatever silly plan NKZ was up to. So good first win for Sheer Cold.
Now that's going to be so much percentage as well, just based on how fast these flashpoint maps do tick up in progress. Cronus is right there to get that self reset. Also going to be going to the Kiriko as well. And the Kiriko for Yoham has been coming in so clutch. Whether it's been with those great Suzu timings just to be able to get... Ooh! Okay.
Well, NKZ
no
just
Suzu
got
there.
ended. Hopefully Exildial has the clap back. Okay, the javelin kind of hurt. Dealing with a tank is a lot to handle, even for someone as good as Exodial, but 70% plus for Sheer Cold as Peps scrap their way back. Naga killing support solos, pretty cute, and Will's just gonna try and extend this to 85-ish, and Sheer Cold are still within pretty much one fight to take the map.
It's definitely one fight. Like, if they win this, that is it. Like, Team Peps will not be able to come back. And so this is a great win condition to set themselves up for. Team Peps, they got to clutch up here. They've got to be perfect. They've got to get these 2 team fights under their belt, and they don't have a lot to be able to do that with. Now they've got some ultimates, though. That's going to be a quick sound barrier to try to take this aggressive.
Well, really aggressive, and I'm surprised Yoham didn't want to match that with the Kitsune Rush, and is going to pay the price, but maybe would rather take the guaranteed fight than gambling, trading an ult that may not result in a fight win, and Sheer Cold maybe could just stack all their ultimates, all press Q at once. It worked out in the past.
For sure. It's exactly what they got to play for here. The Kitsune Rush is going to give them a little bit of power to engage on this fight and hopefully get something else to work with because they don't have a whole lot right now. Team Peps has the ultimate advantage and they're going to use it here.
Hey, Sheer Cold.
Last
Again,
fight.
It's one fight. Kitsune Rush begins. Who's back here? Ben Best on the flank with Orisa. Terra Surge kills Exodial. A big flank. Team Peps making the comeback like they did on Lijiang Tower when things were looking dire. And Naga and Hybrid are locking in. Team Peps diffing in the DPS department when it mattered the most. At the finish line, they will not fumble over their laces. Team Peps take the fight and the round and the map to send us to game 5.
We've got such a good series on our hands. Oh my god. Team Peps, like the mental fortitude you have to have in those moments after you've gotten diffed so hard on the first the first maps prior to this. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's actually just crazy. I'm so stoked. This map 5 is gonna be a banger.
Peps were just played so weird. Like just Orisa flanking with Terra Surge, everyone chasing Benbes, Naga throws a random pulse at the Sheer Cold. You just didn't know who to go after with Team Peps. They just spread out and you're actually walking into their traps. So I like the composure out of Team Peps. Definitely some macro stuff I had issues with when they would win fights. They weren't eager to go and cap the point immediately. I want to say they had maybe because they played the May and stuff. They wanted to just win the war and then go for the point. But I think Team Peps could have won that even cleaner than they did.
You're right. I totally agree with you there. I think there were some moments where like they did want to win the war, not just the battle that's in front of them, and it paid off. Like this is what we were talking about even going into that break, is the fact that they just didn't look like they were on the same page a lot of the time. And I think Benbes playing some heroes that require a little bit more of that team togetherness really paid off. Naga's May, such a great way to be able to shut off those entry points, isolate a target. You also had just a smooth transition into Hybrid going back to play this Sojourn and was warm on it. He was so clean with it. Got some great overclocks in and the whole team clutched up there. Naga too, especially. Just being able to clean up these picks in these final moments. Like Team Peps, they're putting up some fights right now, and this was a much better map from them than we've seen so far in this series.
Yeah, easily my MVP has to be Naga. He helped out Benbes so much with the May walls, isolating NKZ when he was stuck on the Ramatra, forcing him to other heroes. And Benbes needed someone to enable his craziness. And Naga's like, well, if you go in by yourself, you're inting. But if I go in with you, it's a strategy. Yeah. And there's trust there. And Naga enabled him beautifully with the May, eventually went to the Tracer, went on more open maps or more open rounds where there wasn't as good of isolation areas with the May walls. And I think Naga had a really good understanding of New Junk City, and it was a huge reason Team Peps won.
I agree with you for sure. I think like Naga as well, like always been so good with those projectile DPS. I saw some random icicle headshots just sniping people from across the map, even if it wasn't going to be just the typical play with your tank scenario, still able to come up clutch in that way. So this is going to be a really tough final map though. Being able to get the split-second decision making on which composition you're even going to play is going to be really critical, especially because we're going back to a payload map where you don't have a whole lot of time to like you got the time to set up, but not necessarily a lot of time to execute in some situations.
Yeah, Pep's looking pretty allergic to any map that involves pushing an objective. Carts, bots, got backcapped on. You pointed that out. Lost King's Row and Colosseo. They were really good at point maps, control, and what's that? The other control map. Flashpoint, that's the one. See, I am a little bit washed. But yeah, they're really good at capping. Peps are really good at capping points. Can they push an objective though?
Yeah, it's time will tell, and you've got to figure it out now. But we do have a roster change that's going to be coming through here for Sheer Cold. So we have Ilpi coming in, and this is a change that we've seen a couple of times here from Sheer Cold. Ilpi comes in to be able to allow this backline to play a Zenyatta and a Baptiste. And this is where Sheer Cold gets a chance to shine, is having this flexible backline, being able to play some of these more mechanically skilled heroes. Ilpi as well. Holy moly, so clean with the Zenyatta. I'm a little worried about having something like a competent Tracer running around in that backline, but this is your time to shine, Shambali Monastery.
And that's the risk you gotta take, but NKZ, this is an easy Sigma pickup, very strong on Shambali. Sheer Cold have picked this map, and they have a prepared composition special for Team Peps. Definitely expecting the Zen and the Sigma. That was something that they did well on in the past. And Benbez kind of was hitting his head against the wall of how to counter this tank. He tried the Maga, teleporting on top of the Sigma. That hustle didn't go well. Then he tried the Winston, which metaphorically the bubble would isolate the Sigma, but Benbez wasn't getting enough support. So I wonder if Team Peps stick to the composition, something with a Mei to isolate the Sigma if they can get close enough. But Team Peps struggled against the Sigma.
They did struggle against the Sigma, but especially when you're playing on a map like this, on the attack, like Sigma is just so rhythmic. Yeah. With the shield placement, walking forward, just kind of generating momentum that way. You really have to play it super clinically and super clean. But Team Peps are prepared for this, I think. Like, we've seen Sheer Cold on this map a couple of times now because they've had to go to so many map 5s, particularly versus twice, by the way. They have the most map 5s in this entire tournament so far. But they know. Right, they know ExoDL is going to be on the Widowmaker. If they didn't know, they know now. And they have to be prepared for those kinds of moments because this is the comp that we've seen Sheer Cold rock out on Shambali Monastery.
Well, Naga lacked the information, was probably just going in for a jump snipe or hybrid, whoever. I don't know.
Hybrid's off of the Widow now. Hybrid's like, I don't want to take that matchup.
Benbez D.Va? What year is it? Usually he liked the Winston, and he was better at the Winston when it came to dive, and hoping to fly up and deal with Will and have that flexibility in the mobility department. And you can shut down the Widow pretty easily on the D.Va, but you have to ignore the Sigma, and you have to get around it. You can't play this front to back.
No, I mean, the D.Va is so smart, though, just to be able to use that defense matrix to try to bully ExoDL away. We love seeing kind of that classic counter come back to fruition. But you got to make sure that you're still coordinating with the team. Make sure Naga is in place. Make sure Hybrid is able to help you follow up on that pick if that's who you're going after. The Zenyatta as well. Such a nice target for that dive.
Wow, this has been really cool to watch out of Team Peps. Benbez takes all the attention. He's the first to get demeched, and Naga gets to just go finish off all the low HP targets, get dash resets, and Hybrids along for the ride. So great initial push out of Team Peps. They should be able to cap point A shortly. I don't think there's a recontest for Sheer Cold, so great start.
Yeah, I don't think so. You just set up here if you're the Sigma on this high ground. You could even take this first corner if you want, because this is a very tough point here for the attack. You're so defensively favored when you look at like this window, this bend. You've got some great high ground here as well to play around.
Oh, what is Naga up to? His team hadn't even pushed up the stairs, and he almost got first picked. Oh, yeah. He's popping off, so I don't blame him for trying to make the big plays, because Team Peps need big plays. And Benbez goes up to the window to make sure there's no, like, Widow or anything shooting his team. He just throws his big old mech in the way. And ExoDL hasn't had that impact since sniping Hybrid. Team Peps have definitely gotten their revenge, but Sheer Cold have sent them away, and as soon as I flame ExoDL, he gets a headshot, gets deflected. So it's hot and cold with him right now.
Yeah, it's going to be so touch and go, right? Because LP's never going to be alone, and really neither is ExoDL, because you have that grapple hook to get back to your team. But ExoDL's going to give it up. You use the sights anyway. Going to go back over to the Tracer, which is unique. We haven't seen this yet from ExoDL. So let's see. Let's see what he's got.
I'm seeing a lot of colors, including a Kitsune Rush, Sound Bear, Dragon Blade. I'm gonna go Rap God if I name everything. LP is kicking, and still is kicking, because he used Transcendence to save his life and not Yoham's. The Dragon Blade burst too much. Team Peps halfway to point B. Sheer Cold managing to stabilize, but oh god, here comes the cavalry, and Yoham is dead. Not a lot of healing for Sheer Cold, as Will tries to hold his own, but Team Peps looking for the cap. Wish they would also look for the cart, because they're failing to get that going, and it's going backwards. Someone managed to go get that. Now that Sheer Cold's respawns came back, they started to take back over that fight, and ExoDL is going to show them how it's done on the Tracer, apparently.
Yeah, you have this defensive window to play from too now. We've seen ExoDL play this at least once on the broadcast, like did play it on the attack here for Hollywood. It didn't work out for them on that map, but it's looking really great now, and this is another way that Sheer Cold has that flexibility, is just having two very, like, good flex DPS to play around just to expand those hero pools.
Oh, as soon as Will jumps out, Team Peps says, that's my time to go in. Yoham is dead, so that means no heals. Team Peps, as long as Ben Best gets back into mech, should be good. Yes, he does. And Team Peps, everyone is on fire. Yeah, it was a bit more of a struggle to get through point B, but the job is done nonetheless. Respawns could be coming back, but since LP is the last one spawning back up, they're not going to have the speed. Sheer Cold are running as fast as they can for the recontest. They will manage to get there in time, and no big ults to worry about, at least quite yet, but Will is a threat, just peppering them down. Team Peps not wanting to overextend, they just want to play their shelter, these walls, and Will went way too deep against the D.Va, but he's got the support of his healers, but this has been a bloodbath, and Team Peps don't have Kitsune Rush because Cronus died, and FD God doesn't want to gamble the sound barrier, so great clutch by Sheer Cold.
Great clutch, and also some great changes in their composition as well. LP's only played Zenyatta on this map. Nice to know that there's also a Lucio in the back pocket, just to be able to play that a little bit differently. More swaps coming through. Ben Best now going to go over to the Winston, as you do need a little bit of this high ground, just space, anything. Like, the Winston does have this mobility to play with, but we're up against the wire here, Jen. It's 45 seconds left. Team Peps has to get it done here with all of the ults that they have.
We'll see if Team Clutch has it in them, because they pulled through from worse situations. 34 seconds, Kitsune Rush, and I love that ExoDL is contesting the card as the Tracer. Team Peps have to make a move, and it didn't really feel like they pushed their advantage with that Kitsune Rush. With the Winston, they're hiding in cover. They don't want to take poke until they're ready. And FD God uses the sound barrier. It's going to amplify his team for the final time of point B, and a pulse bomb from Hybrid. Say goodbye to LP, and I think that might have even canceled the sound barrier, and Sheer Cold just won't be able to dance much longer on point B, so Team Peps clutch after all.
They do, but now they don't have a whole lot of time to work with, and this is going to be the harder point, I think, even still, for Team Peps to take, just with the respawn advantage that Sheer Cold is going to have. But, whoa, big swap here. They looked in the tab, and they said they've got the Zarya, they've got the Zenyatta again. We're going to go back to our bread and butter. It's going to be the Reinhardt from Ben Best. And the Mei from Naga just swaps across the board.
If you squint hard enough, this could be like Baby King's Row. So I'm vibing with the Reinhardt. This could be very close range. Sheer Cold don't have speed, so Team Peps have the advantage running a Lucio to gap close. Sheer Cold will not be able to run away. Sheer Cold's advantage is out poking them, having NKZ scale, breaking down Ben Best's shield before he figures out what's going on. And maybe this grab could help out a lot. And ExoDL is just has to look for picks on the Widow with this team. This is going to be a tough one. Not a doubter. I'm just stating reality. And KZ says, screw this, Reinhardt. I'm gonna yeet a grab across the country. And an immortality gets placed down by Cronus. So you exchange a grab for an immortality. It's not the worst thing ever. Team Peps are still alive, and dealing with this Will flank is big. Hybrid is getting well protected by not only a Mei, but also a Lucio. Now with the problem out of the way, Team Peps set their sights forward, pin Exo against the wall, and Team Peps will full cap.
So good, the swaps we saw come through there, because like you called out, like Reinhardt's got a shield, Mei's got a wall. Where is this Widowmaker gonna find value? And on this final point as well, if she's not getting picks, you have no point presence either. So I think that Team Peps played a really strong rock paper scissors game there in order to find that compositional advantage. With a full capture as well, there's a win condition on the board for them. Big win condition on the board to be able to win this series, and it's been a slugfest. So many mental games being played.
I know I'm going to be a hater for a second. I don't love this Widow from XODL. I know he thinks he's that guy, but I wish he would be someone else. Like a Tracer or just, okay, well, Will is Tracer, but anything else. It's just not that guy. Or that woman, I should say, I guess. But Team Peps, I mean, just knew that they didn't want to leave that Widow time to get picks. So once they dealt with the Grav, Cronus placed the Immortality, it was pedal to the metal. And I guess the Reinhardt works out, but I think only on that part of the map.
I think Ilpi has also struggled a little bit, like, as the target for a lot of the focus here from Team Peps. It's just Zenyatta things, right? Like, poor thing got nerfed with the kick. It's a little less powerful and a little less knockback. But I think, too, it's just, like, such a static hero with no mobility that it's a little bit easier to just kind of walk onto the Zenyatta or even just force it away with which is something like even the Lucio.
Team Peps are holding close. XODL gets off the Tracer to go Widow. I don't think so. At least this Widow is gonna have a hard time, but looks like the front line of Sheer Cold overwhelmed Benbest after all, and when you have that main protector out of the way, it's all green for Sheer Cold, especially when spawns are that close. You could escape at any time to get healed back to full, so it wasn't easy for Sheer Cold though, and it wasn't clean, but a win's a win.
Yeah. This is one of those maps you can totally do that though, because if you get the close hold, you get another hold about halfway through this point, and then you buy yourself a hold there at the final point as well, versus the way that kind of Sheer Cold played it on their defense, where you get like an attempt, you know, and that's kind of as good as you get. ExoDL though, maybe heard you, gonna go over to the Ashe, showed up in a big way on that in the middle two maps of our series, so I think I like this a little bit better too, just knowing that you have some ability to melt the Mei and do some good damage to the process there with those dynamites.
Yeah, I was a bit of a hater on the Ashe because I just thought there were better options, but XODL proved to us on King's Row how good of an option this was and how important that Bob was in these extended fights. Glad he could live for that second while I was hyping him up. And he's going to be on that high ground, hoping to throw the dynamite over that half wall. And so far, they see that Benbest and friends are extended. Using the sound barrier, Team Peps have a reason to do so and throw the immortality. Oh, they were depending on the Naga Blizzard, but that got 8 by NKZ. And the Transcendence is a huge boon for Sheer Cold to keep living through this extended part of the fight. Team Peps running out of gas. It's still pretty scrappy. And Hybrid's overclock is what ends it all.
I was gonna say, what's scarier than one tank? It's also gonna be like a Sigma and Ramatra together. But yeah, Hybrid. What a huge clutch there with that overclock. Being able to secure that defense there for Team Peps. And there you go. 2 attempts left here to be able to keep this defensive hold as that cart starts to walk backwards. Benbest is back now, has that Ramatra, gonna get that Annihilation up soon as well, and you just get to walk forward. He's now switched to another tank here on the Orisa.
It's the emergency glass has to be broken for Sheer Cold. It's a minute 15 and they haven't even capped the first point yet. Team Pep showed us how the speed run was done, and Hybrid gets another double kill. Okay, Cronus is dead. This is a little sketchy for Team Peps. XODL responds with his own double kill, and Sheer Cold come out ahead. But will they be able to cap? There will be a recontest from Team Peps. This is coming down to the last couple fights.
It is, and Benbest gets to come back with the Annihilation as well, so that can be very scary as that Ramatra gets that just extra bit of beefiness to have to deal with, and there's no ultimates on Sheer Cold. You're really looking at Will right now to try to build up that duplicate and get some extra sustain there with ult of his own.
Sheer Cold, few more meters away. It is do or die, and it will duplicate. Yeah, this is final fight, and I had flamed Team Peps. I'm like, they're not really good at pushing objectives, more about capping them, and they're proving me wrong. The Annihilation, Benbest donk walks forward and didn't get the FD God sound barrier that he would have liked. He has the support of Cronus still in the picture. Sheer Cold have their own Ramatra in the mix, and the cap still goes through by Sheer Cold.
There you go, the cap 2. Ilpi came up big too with a couple of kills in that fight. Just some really big flanks that he was able to take care of, and now you get a chance to keep on going. Full cap would mean a map reset here, essentially, to be able to try the attack again on both sides, and that's what Sheer Cold have to play for right now. Peps is now going to switch back over to the Sigma. We got the rotating door of tanks coming through once again for both of these teams. But NKZ has the advantage here with the Terror Surge at the moment. FD God wasn't able to use the sound barrier in that last fight, though, so a nice response to have.
Yeah, Matrix and a Blizzard that works out this time for Naga and in this tiny area. I thought Naga was going to get a lot more value, especially when Sheer Cold don't have speed, but this is so scrappy. FD God has a two-man sound barrier because he's trying to clutch up and not let Sheer Cold get momentum. But still, Sheer Cold came out ahead, and Team Peps are missing some critical ultimates.
I wouldn't have used a sound barrier there. Like, you would have loved to have that for a recontest on this final point, and now you're only 3. Keeping people at bay with the disruptor shot, but you could have had it in this fight. Now it's going to be all eyes on Ilp with this Transcendence online to sink this one over the second point.
Oh, NKZ charging up. Cronus in trouble. Immortality fully charges it up. Will get FD God, who might have been there just to escort Cronus back to safety. Said, get down, Mr. President, but there's no one left in the White House. Team Peps are dead. Sheer Cold, move on.
Sheer Cold still have ults to work with too. Like you look at the Ashe, like that Ashe Bob. Bob can come out and do something in this final fight. You can lock down a big angle here as well because Hybrid's gonna go over to the Widowmaker. We've seen this before, haven't we? It has not looked great, but there is no Mei on the other side. And the Widowmaker does pressure down this Echo nicely if you're able to get a good angle on her. So we'll see if this is able to play out. But you've got 2 minutes to work here with your Sheer Cold, and you've got ultimate advantage. It's looking good.
Now NKZ can mash to Sigma. And the bomb was thrown early. I guess some space got created, but Team Peps lost Hybrid, and you might need a different choice than the Widow. Sheer Cold are at the finish line. They just need to cap, and they have some extra wiggle room in the time bank if this doesn't work out. Team Peps, the respawn advantage ended up working out in time, and Sheer Cold will have to reset.
Reset, but they had to throw everything they had there. Pulse Bomb goes out just to be able to seal the deal. You had that amplification matrix used as well, but I love this choice of FD God moving over to the Zenyatta. He's going to be trying to get a little bit of poke to get that Transcendence up for this final engagement, but a couple more swaps across. Like, so DL now trying to go over to the Widowmaker to contend with Hybrid, but look at this amplification matrix and how Yoham has really opened up the fights with just being able to plant that on top of the point. That was brave.
Hybrid is just braver, I guess. Great headshot. That is gonna take some time away from Sheer Cold. And I just think the defensive Widow has a lot more options to hide and take funny angles. We'll see if Sheer Cold can scout this out.
Ooh, they know now. They know now. FD God also took a big shot to the body.
Hate that. Hybrid at least has backup of his friends. He's not totally by himself. Sheer Cold. Move forward off the Amp Matrix. Force Team Peps into cover. Hybrid has sight advantage over XODL, so he could get an important headshot if Sheer Cold aren't expecting it. And you have to play out in the open if you're Sheer Cold and try to play behind NKZ, who's taking so much pressure. A couple seconds left and we're in overtime. Tracers exchanged and a headshot for Hybrid paired with the Gravitic Flux is disgusting. And the Transcendence will keep Team Peps up and running, and so they did. It started with a crawl, a walk, and into a sprint. Team Peps get to the end and finish off the series in style.
What a fantastic series we just had too. It was so back and forth. It really looked like Sheer Cold was going to come out on top after that second and that third map, but Team Peps, the grit, the ability to just counter all of these crazy compositions coming out from Sheer Cold. It took some time for them to get the adaptations and the adjustments, but it worked out there. It was close, but it did work out in their favor. So congratulations to Team Peps for being able to move on through this lower bracket. Sadly, we do have to say goodbye to Sheer Cold, but it's been fun having him in the OWCS, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's cool to see Team Peps kind of figure out what the meta is to them. It's not what the meta is to everyone else, but what works for you. And sometimes that's the Reinhardt, sometimes that's Bald Mauga jumping in. I don't know, but Team Peps are learning day by day. And I'm excited to see what the desk thinks of all these mystery heroes. So let's send it over.
Thank you so much, Lemon. Mystery heroes, I mean, we did see a lot of swaps from Team Peps. And, you know, at the end, it sort of worked out for them because they did get the win against...
They're alive. I mean, better than being knocked out.
I mean, true.
We were sitting in the back, me and Jake, and just like, they have the disadvantage. Wait, now they have the advantage. But they swapped around again. Like, they were just back and forth with the compositions.
I still think there's things to iron out in the meta as far as, like, what's the perfect swap for every situation. But as Necro was saying, I think it's important to recognize what's your hero pick. Or actually, sorry, that was Lemon who said that. I'm trolling. But it's like, what works for you? You know, like, yes, there's the meta, but we're so early, a couple days in to having that Mauga patch reverted. These teams are still trying to puzzle through it. And at this level, too, there's also a question of your comfort heroes mattering more and more. Not everyone can play everything. And so I think that ended up coming in Pep's favor, but man, Sheer Cold looked like they had it this series.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point what you mentioned about the tank swaps as well, because I felt especially throughout this series, you know, map 3, map 4, it honestly looked like Sheer Cold were the better team. And in large part, it was because they abused BenBest's tank picks, right? And forced him into uncomfortable situations. Here on, you know, Leading Tower got off to a hot start. But later on, Colosseo, for example, we talked about in the green room about how BenBest, he was playing, you know, the Doomfist like he's playing here, mostly to touch, but also like swapping over to the Winston, I guess the Sigma composition. So, like you said on these Sigma picks, it really like threw a wrench into what Peps were cooking. And I think that's a large part of why they were so successful throughout the series. In the end, Team Peps come up with a clutch win on Shambali, but I thought it was a well played out series for Sheer Cold and something to build upon for next stage, right? Because you're now eliminated, but at the same time, this seemed like a pretty good group of players who might have a chance down the line to improve and challenge some of these teams, Jake.
Yeah, I think we saw a lot of bright spots, especially from DPS. Will and Exodial, got to call them out as big stars on the team. I also saw lots of great moments from NKZ finding the opportunities to, you know, shove in aggressively, find his window to push. Not always successful, but still, like, finding those opportunities is hard, especially in a pressured match like this. Still finding the window to be aggressive is massive. And honestly, I think for an underdog team like Sheer Cold, you can take this loss and like you said, build on it, find the bright spots and you know, make those your focus. I will say, though, Team Peps still looking good, right? Still alive. I feel like, though, taking this close of a match in some of the hero picks here, I'm a little worried about them going forward.
Great stuff from Team Peps and also great stuff from Sheer Cold as well, but it is Team Peps going to be moving forward. And here is our player of the match, and it is none other than Naga. He did some great stuff, great plays as well. What do you guys think about Naga?
Yeah, clutched it up. I mean the
forced
Tracer.
to flex more than anyone else on the team. I mean, it's sort of inherent to the role, but really having to play, whether it's the Tracer, whether it's the Echo, the Genji, or like, you know, more of like the Mei Reaper style comps, really playing everything across many different parts of the hit option. So for me, like, this is really impressive. You have to be this flexible when the meta is in the spot where it is right now, where there's tons and tons of swapping going on. You need to not just be able to service these heroes, but especially when you bring out something like a Tracer, like that 1v1 duel is just so impactful. At the end of the day, you can be the smartest player ever, but if you're not trading efficiently in a 1v1 and you always need your team to bail you out, you could be in trouble. But that wasn't Naga this series. He was producing a ton, whether it was the Genji, the Tracer, the Mei, consistent damage, consistent frags, crucial in Overwatch 2, where yes, your strategy matters, but you, on DPS especially, you got to produce. You got to give me something. Fill up that kill feed.
And also, I feel like, you know, watching this match, I think there is, we have to like see how important having that experience is. Like, I think that played a big part for Team Peps as well.
Those clutch moments, right, for sure.
There was a clutch moment.
Yeah.
I mean, because Sheer Cold could have closed it out.
Yeah,
realistically, they could have closed it out both on Flashpoint and, you know, map 5 on Shambali.
And I think it was an odd choice even to go Shambali over Circuit, right? Because Sheer Cold did have the option to go either with those bans.
True.
Yeah.
And I'm honestly surprised because I saw, you know, bringing in the flex board in, you're locking into a poke only. Shambali's not a bad poke map by any means.
You played Sigma comps earlier in the series.
Right, and like that's what they've been winning with. They've been cooking with the Sigma. BenBest not really known as like a Sigma player.
Maybe it was
I'm
banned.
surprised they don't go.
Yeah.
No, because it wasn't. I looked at the bans.
Okay.
So I'm actually, I think that probably is a misplay. If you want to force the mirror, I read the graphic when it was on the screen.
No, you read the
did
graphic.
homework?
I failed to read the graphic.
You always do your homework because I heard that, Johnny, you have another illustration for us.
I do, and it's actually about some of the stuff that Naga cooked up.
That's why they call him Homework Johnny.
Yeah, so I know this.
They do?
Homework Johnny.
Homework Johnny.
I don't want to say it, but I never did homework in school. I just played Overwatch, and here we are. So I know this is a long time ago because we're going to go into Lijiang Tower here, but I think this could be useful for the rest of the weekend as well. So if you're watching this meta, again, now we're coming out, we see a lot of like Lucio, Kiriko, we're seeing some Sojourn, Tracer being played for both teams here. And so it's just about how you clear positioning here and how you set up your team for success. So pretty default stuff here on Lijiang Tower Night Market. What I want you to highlight, really look at here, is how Team Peps are going to engage this fight. They're going to use both FD God on the Lucio and Naga on the Tracer to clear this wide angle. So as we can play this one out, we can see that behind these walls, we're seeing the Lucio, we're seeing the Tracer do work and actually contest Will on the Tracer. And this is going to push Sheer Cold back. So now, as we go ahead and pause around here, we can see that suddenly oops, I don't know how that happened.
It's fine. It's okay.
Bottom left, Johnny. Cancel.
Stage changes. I got out. But you can see Sheer Cold. 9 years, guys. I'm working on it still. But you can see here that Sheer Cold, they're just clumped up, right? And so when you're playing this Sigma and this Sojourn composition, like, where are the angles? Like, you can shoot like this way, but there's no line of sight here, right? And this is because Peps did a great job at clearing out Will with those angles. So as we go ahead and play this one out, we can see that Sheer Cold, they take their time, they don't have any line of sight whatsoever, but Naga is going to hold down this fort. And I mean, you go into a Tracer duel and you kick it off like this, you're just taking Tracer damage off the bat because Naga has superior positioning. It's just a hard time for Will, right? So Team Peps really holding it down here. We can go ahead and play this out. And ultimately, this is going to force, because they established this side angle, this is going to force the recall on Will in a very short minute here. We're going to use the overclock to once more push Sheer Cold back. And now, because Will, he kind of failed this Tracer duel because Peps did a great job, that's going to force the recall from Will. And he's stuck in spawn while the rest of Sheer Cold has to touch the point and rotate to the point because they didn't have that positioning, right? Ultimately, Will is going to go down here. I know that Sheer Cold, they got the cap, so they are building point control here. But Will goes down, and that means that Peps gets the man advantage. And all because they established that side angle with their Tracer and their Lucio. So again, just showcasing our positioning is really important, and setting up those wide flanks for the rest of your team and the Sojourn.
I think that's a great illustration of Lucio this meta. You can activate on the flank and fight with that Tracer, or you can push aggressively in the mid. There's different options, but you've got to do something with your presence. You can't just sit there and sort of let the fight come to you.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we have a special interview ready now with Naga, the player of the match, to hear more about the match and how they got the win. So, Naga, first of all, congratulations on getting the win. You can hear me, right?
Yeah, loud and clear.
All right, great stuff on the server. I'm just gonna kick things off. You know, you guys first starting off the match, it was a bit shaky, but you guys were able to get the win today against Sheer Cold. So, you know, going into the match, how did you guys prepare for your match today with Sheer Cold?
We didn't prepare much for the second match because we had a match right before that, right? So we kind of took it map by map. We quickly looked what they played in their previous map and then just made some plans of that. And then, yeah, map by map from there.
I'm curious how you feel this meta, going back to a meta where you're swapping a ton. I feel like that's something you're known for as a player, is having the flexibility in the role, bringing out the Tracer a ton these days. How does that feel in a meta like this where you're able to kind of leverage that flexibility and bring out a lot of your hero pool?
It feels good, but we're still in the phase where we haven't played a bunch of the things we're swapping to. So then it still becomes like a little bit uncomfortable for us as like a team, right? So we need to get like past that state where we have like uncertainty in the things we're doing. We need to have like a clear plan. But I was happy we were able to like adapt throughout the match, right? In the end, that's all that matters.
To follow up on that, did you feel like at times on like Colosseo, you know, Ben Best swapped over to the Winston comp, stuff like that, for example, were there any compositions in this series that you felt a little bit uncomfortable on versus some of the others?
Yeah, that one was a good example actually, because we kind of had an idea of what we wanted to do, but we didn't full commit to it, right? We didn't like commit to the full dive into the BEP, so it ended up being like something like half-assed. You know,
it was a bit. Yeah. You tried to dive. We saw it. Me and Jake were just like, maybe they should swap Doomfist here, but you know, I guess you could play Winston, but it's weird on Colosseo. So we got what you were thinking. I wanted to follow up on that. I wanted to ask about Will. Actually, you're both Danish, of course. Is there some kind of Danish rivalry, you and Will? Is this someone you've played against before and perhaps have some experience with?
Yeah, actually, he wrote to me like a bunch of years ago. So I've known the guy for like ages, since he was like 3.6K player.
Wow.
So he came a long way since then. Yeah. And I was really, really excited to see that they made top 8. You know, it was a big achievement for them.
Yeah, but also
And they played well today.
Yeah, but that's also one of those things where like, oh, this guy wrote to me when he was 3.6. I can't lose to him in an official now. You know, you gotta establish dominance. Yeah,
I'm past that stage. The people who wrote to me when they're 3.6, they're gapping me now. It's over.
Hey, that's why you're here, and that's why Naga's still playing.
Exactly. That's the reason I'm on the camera now. I don't play.
All right, Naga, that's it for the interview. Thank you so much for the wonderful interview, and good luck moving forward.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. That was such a great answer. All right. I think before we move on to match number 3, let's take a quick look at our brackets right now. And talking about brackets, I think, Jake, you could explain what we're seeing on screen.
So we see Timeless and EXO moving up to the upper bracket, ENCE and SSG. I mean, these really are your top 4 teams, right? There's still some dogfights to be had in the lower bracket, like we just saw. We could still see more upsets, but really, I think these top 4 look really solid. I think probably of these lower bracket teams, ROC is the one that I'm really, Rock Esports, I'm feeling like they could make a deep run here out of everybody. But still fights to be played out. And it's double elim, so lower bracket, you lose, you're gone. Winner bracket, you've still got one more chance, trying to punch that ticket to the grand finals, get yourself some points for these OWCS majors. It's all about the major, right, for these top teams. Yes, these tournaments are nice. You want to get the win, but really, I think you care more about the points at the end of the day. You care more about that than the cash is nice, but this is about proving you're the best team right off the bat.
Yeah,
establishing dominance.
I think the team you talked about there, Rock Esports, like coming into this main event, I think that people would have predicted Rock Esports to be like a top 4 team. So then seeing them get 3-0'd by Ex-Oblivione and then also lose to Quick Esports in the lower bracket, Rock Esports are out. I think that's honestly a bit of a surprise, a bit of an upset here in the main event. So that's quite shocking. I did not expect Quick Esports to be beating Rock Esports in the lower bracket there we just saw. So pretty surprising. You never know what's going to happen.
A lot of surprises. Yep, there you go. Say it one more time. Say it loud and clear.
You never know what's going to happen, Daddy. You never know. Anything could happen.
This is why you got to sign up for the OWCS Stage 2 qualifier. Sign-ups open now. Get your team in there. You guys could be here. You could be on this show.
I'm so happy I have these two next to me.
To make
my life so easy.
Can we get Danny as a sub on like a team without an org?
Oh my god, that'd be so good.
I swear, if you make Houston Outlaws, I'll
put you on.
No, I'm saying for like a serious like main event team. Like, could we get you like LFO or something?
Hey, I think we could talk about this while we're on the break. We're gonna take a quick break. When we come back, last match for the EMEA is coming up shortly. Don't go anywhere.